Thank you everyone for joining us for the 2023 AgCareers Expo. We're pretty excited to be kicking off again this year. Before we get too far into today's events, I would like to just take a moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians in the country throughout Australia and their connections to the land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and we extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people who are with us today. So thank you for joining us. I also would like to extend a really warm welcome to our panelists today. Thank you so much for being here and generously donating your time. My name is Melanie. I'm from RuralBiz Training. We actually have over 700 students registered today, if not for the live session, then for the recording. And so I'm pretty excited about that, and how fantastic is it that there's so many schools and teachers and people out there who are supporting young people in their passion for a career in ag. A couple of housekeeping things. Each of our presenters today will take questions at the end, so please drop your questions into the chat box or into the Q&A function there. You should be able to see. Can I just get a nod from someone in the audience that you can hear us okay? Yeah, you guys, yep, sounds good. Yep, great, thanks Elizabeth. Okay, one other thing is that we are offering a lucky door prize today to one of our schools who attend. So if you're here from a school or you'd like to nominate your school, please drop the school name into the chat box and we will donate $300 towards their tools or equipment for their ag program at school. So that's a nice little bonus. Please drop your name in, we'll draw that at the end. We have a pretty jam-packed agenda today, so we're going to kick off. First speaker today, I'd like to welcome Geoff Lucas from the Lucas Group, Managing Director. The Lucas Group is Australia's probably leading agribusiness in recruitment for agricultural roles, isn't it, Geoff?
We are one of the oldest, or if not the oldest, companies involved in recruitment in the agribusiness sector. Yes. Great.
Well, I'm going to pass over to you and let you tell us what you know and share your knowledge with us.
Well, hi everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm going to start a presentation as we speak, so just fingers crossed it's going to work. And I'll share my screen and share the screen now. Can everybody see that? I hope I can. A little bit about the Lucas Group and who we are and what we do. We're an executive recruitment company operating right across the agribusiness sector, Australia-wide. We've been involved in doing that since 1990. And I don't know what's going on here, but that's stopped. Why is that? Let's share that. Can everybody see that?
I can see your email.
Now, can we see that? Is everybody able to see that?
I can see your chat. Can't see your presentation.
Okay. Do apologise, everybody, but let's keep going forward. I don't know what's going. Can you see the presentation now?
I can see your screen, Geoff. I just can't see your presentation.
Let's do this again. Share that screen. Off we go.
Can you see that? Yeah, that's great.
Terrific. The Lucas Group has been operating for about 30 years. I do apologise for the hiccup there. We operate right across Australia in the agribusiness sector. And because of our background, specifically in agriculture, we are able to provide some insight into the industry and the diversity of opportunities in the industry. So is that working now?
Yes, Geoff, it is.
Wonderful. Given the fact that we are involved in that sector, a lot of the roles we deal with are from at the one end, I suppose, the on-farm positions, the farm production side, but right through to a diversity of opportunities that are available in the agribusiness sector. We need to think of agriculture as everything from the paddock to the consumer rather than just being on farm and involved in cows, sheep, crops, things like that. We're really looking at opportunities across the board, and particularly opportunities in agriculture, considering the growth that we need to continue to feed the rest of the world. Over the next few years, as our population increases, the demand for agricultural production and food is going to be ever increasing. Thus, we need to make sure that we're a little bit innovative and forward thinking about what we do. One thing that is important, I suppose, is how you make agriculture attractive, considering it's not all in the capital cities of each state. It's based regionally. Therefore, you need to be looking at those channels that give you entry to agriculture. Many of the production areas encourage people. Don't know what's happened, but it's not moving. Oh, yes, it is. Many of the production areas you need to consider as an entry to looking at other fields within agriculture, and because there's both from a skills development perspective and a technical perspective, those people are looking to pursue careers in agriculture need to be considering how they can apply that knowledge both in the field and in other areas. If you look at it from the perspective of problem solving and that, I suppose, evolving landscape of agriculture, it tends to be an area that is the first to look at new technology, changing opportunities from everything from solving problems in the field, looking at technology and the application of technology to best improve agriculture in the field, but also going through into areas of business. One of the things that is very focused on, and most of the major corporations are focusing on as we go forward, is that environmental stewardship. That is going to play a big part in people and entry opportunities for people in agriculture going forward. Technology, and call it communications and collaboration across the industry, is demonstrating, particularly with the use of satellite technology as we go forward. The opportunities in agriculture, particularly at an entry level, quite often provide support, not just in terms of salaries and wages and those sort of normal things. Because you are in a regional area, you also have the opportunity of perhaps living on farm, building those skills, building those experiences. There are a lot of opportunities for people at entry level to also look at part-time skills development with those key employers in the industry. There is no limit, literally no limit to the diversity of careers in agriculture, because as you go through and develop those skills and knowledge, you can apply that in a real life situation. A lot of the things that you do see in agriculture is and the agribusiness sector is really being involved in a much bigger value chain of production. There is certainly a lot of career progression, and there's certainly a lot of opportunity for career progression. Many of the major companies provide value benefits, accommodation, those sort of things, but they also provide those opportunities for further skills development. I'm just trying to get that to work, and it's not working for some reason. If you look at the journey, look at for opportunities for job satisfaction, it's being involved in that. Sorry, I'm going to go back one frame. Look at it from the pathways perspective, develop those skills, develop your knowledge in the sector. One thing that will be important is most people are looking for lifetime learning opportunities in those areas. So instead of looking at it going as a progression through from school to university on, look at it from a lifetime learning perspective, because there is plenty of opportunities now for people to support those career development and further training. there is a key area of agriculture that is a problem right now, and that is a significant skill shortage. That skill shortage as being probably because of changes in COVID, changes in immigration, those sort of things. But the industry is absolutely desperate for people. And if you're prepared to move into those areas, live regionally and work regionally, it may be the opportunity for people to go forward and really get a satisfying career. Literally, it is unlimited. There is so many things and so many aspects of agriculture that are worthwhile. For some reason or other, this is not moving. Sorry about this. Bridging the skills gap is part of it, but the next part is also looking at ways to move yourself into that area. Educate yourself, but look at it as a continuous learning cycle. Build a network within agriculture. Get involved in the industry. Get involved in some of the networks that are both online, but also some of the local networks. If you're regionally based, some of those local networks. Familiarize yourself certainly with agriculture and the challenges of agriculture. Look at technology. One of the areas of growth areas of agriculture going forward is certainly going to be the use of robotics and communications technology to improve monitoring and management of agricultural production. The other thing that agriculture certainly is doing over the recent years is engaging with what I describe as sustainability. Many of our clients we deal with now are very focused on carbon or management of carbon footprint within the agriculture. Promote the industry amongst your peers. Make sure you raise the awareness of the rewarding careers there are on offer in agriculture. I do apologise for my slides, and I hope that there's plenty of questions.
Thanks so much, Geoff. I could see your slides. I hope everyone else could. They seemed like they were moving okay. We did just pop a poll up there whilst you were speaking as well. And I think everyone's sort of had a chance to do that. Geoff, with the skills shortage, are you seeing one particular area at the moment that's really just crying out for workers?
There's probably two areas, or two or three areas.
Yep.
Firstly, we'll call it entry level.
Mm-hmm.
The industry itself is desperate for people who really want to learn. So they want to come in. We'll call it unskilled people coming into the industry who are really keen and eager to learn, that want to be involved, that want to see what's happening, to see what's going on out there in the field. If they're able to embrace that part of it, they'll build their skills and build their knowledge. The next aspect is moving, I would say, into the application of technology, the application of technique, and the use of that in the field, which opens the door, particularly in terms of further education for a lot of people, because it gives them that taste, I suppose, of what to expect in agriculture. Finally, is the ag tech area. It's going ahead in leaps and bounds, and it's jumping forward quickly. So therefore, that I suppose knowledge of engineering, robotics, and technology is a gap right now in the industry.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting space. And I think you also touched on sustainability and carbon, and we get lots of...
Sustainability is important, and the reason it's important from an agricultural perspective right now is that every one of the major food organizations or food producing organizations around the world, they've made forward commitments for their carbon footprint going forward, and that they will be carbon neutral by 2030, those sort of things. To do that has a direct impact through the agricultural food production cycle. So therefore, the farmers have to be a bit wiser, a bit smarter, and really embrace, I suppose, sustainability, which most farmers do. It's something that's on probably the front of most farmers' minds every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for the farmers, the sustainability of their land is really important because it's sustainability of their livelihood. And for the students who are listening today, this sustainability and carbon neutral issue, if a lot of companies have committed to be carbon neutral by 2030, that's going to be right when you guys are in the workforce. So it's really something you need to be mindful of it, I think, and it's
which also creates a career, which, sorry to interrupt, but it also creates a career opportunity, because one of those areas that's going to be focused on will be the audit of carbon and the carbon footprint going forward, and how that's managed on a regional basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone does have a question for Geoff, please pop it into the question and answer section or into the chat box. I could chat with Geoff all day about careers, I think, and what's happening in agriculture at the moment. Geoff, we're just looking at our little poll here. The top 3 qualities that came back that people voted for was skill development and training, right at the top there. Feeling that you have a valuable or important job. And then everything else was pretty equal, around 40 or 45%. So good pay, nice boss, flexible work hours, and job security. Is that, oh, I might have missed one down the bottom. Sorry, the feeling that you have a valuable or important job. Do you feel like that's pretty reflective of the industry and what people are valuing and looking for when they're trying to match with an employer?
I would certainly agree with that. The top 2 certainly agree, and that goes through also, and perhaps some facts, I suppose. In the last 90 days, we've had about 1 million views, or just over 1 million views, on the projects and the jobs that we've been advertising.
Yep.
And there's, I suppose, push poll that goes on whilst that's happening. And that's reflective right across the industry. What you've described is directly reflective right across the industry. Is it worthwhile? Am I getting a feeling of satisfaction out of what I do? Can I see the benefit of what I'm doing? Not just in terms of what I'm doing day to day, but in the bigger picture thing. And 2, am I doing something that is going to build my skills and build my capabilities going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Geoff, we've got one question here from Debbie. It's, hi, Geoff, as a mature age entrant into the ag industry, is there a place for me?
Depending on the skills that you've got, Debbie, I'm sure there will be a space for you. If you have passion and you've coming possibly from another industry, there's many aspects of other sectors that have a direct application, from managing data, input of data, management of data, right through to actually operating some of the more sophisticated equipment and machinery in agriculture.
Yeah, and that, as Geoff mentioned before, the range of roles is really diverse, and the opportunity to build your skills is endless. There's really something for every level out there. So if you've got the passion, I think there's definitely roles.
There is definitely opportunity for people from other industry sectors, or a mature age student, shall we say, to enter the industry, because it's almost endless.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Geoff. I'm sorry our time frames are so tight today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to hear from you again in future. We might have a longer chat one day. And thank you so much for your insight and experience. It's really, not often that we get to enjoy that level of expertise. Next up, we have one of our long-term friends, which is Melanie Rowse, who's the HR business partner with Elders. How you going, Mel?
I'm good, thanks, Mel. How are you?
Yeah, really well. Thanks for joining us today. We love hearing about what Elders is up to and what programs you're offering. I'm going to pass it over to you and let you take it away.
No worries, thank you. And it's good to be back. I think I'm up to year 4. All right.
Yeah, sounds. Yeah, I think so.
Which is crazy. Time's flying. Anyway, hello everyone. As Mel said, my name is Melanie Rowse. I'm HR business partner with Elders, based up in sunny Brisbane, and my remit is to look after all the branches located in Queensland, the top part of Northern Territory, and a little bit of WA. I'll show you a bit of breakdown. WA, New South Wales. I'll show you a breakdown of the map as we go through. So, now I'm having IT difficulties, Geoff. I feel your pain. It's not going through. There we go. So just a little bit of background around Elders. So unbelievably, next year, as an organisation, we're going to turn 185 years old. So way back in 1839, Alexander Elder got on his little boat and came over to South Australia and set up shop as a woolbroking business in Adelaide. I'm not going to give you the full brief on the 17 versions of Elders, but just a few of the highlight reels. At one point in time, Elders was the 5th biggest organisation in Australia. We've tried many things like Elders IXL, which was the IXL Jams, as you know it. We've been in forestry, car seat manufacturing, banking, which is still a little bit of our business today. And at one point in time, we also owned Carlton United Breweries. So a little bit of a fun fact there. Sometimes I wish we still did. However, we returned Elders back to being a pure play agriculture business back in 2008 after a bit of a near-death experience. And what the business looks like today is this business model here. So we have our rural products division. So your ag chem fert, your farm inputs, your pet supplies. We have our agency services, which is our livestock, our wool and our grain. Real estate, so we do our broadacre residential property management and our real estate franchise. Financial services being our agri services, Elders Insurance, the feed and processing services. So we own a feedlot in Corindi near Tamworth there, and our digital and tech services. So we have the Elders Weather. I'm sure many of you know of the Elders Weather app or website, and we are a 50% owner of a business by the name of Auctions Plus, which is sort of an online selling platform for a wide variety of different things, but predominantly sheep, cattle listed on there. So this is a bit of a breakdown of where we are, where we're located. So as you can sort of barely see the lines on the map, we kind of all share a bit of different states with each other, with the exception of WA and Tassie. But Victoria share with South Australia and New South Wales, and New South Wales shares with Queensland. So we're all one big happy family here at Elders. But with 300 points of presence, it's a massive family to keep track of. So there's about 3,000 odd employees in the pink shirt, but we also expand beyond the pink shirt as we have over the years acquired quite a number of businesses that are attached to the Elders brand. These are some of those organisations. So we have an irrigation business up here in Queensland. We have AIR, which is Australian Independent Retail. So they have a distribution warehouse. Ace Olsen and B&W also in New South Wales, in the sort of the cotton and the horticulture space. And as I said, continuing to grow and expand our footprint in key strategic areas for the group. So what that means is plenty of employment opportunities. So this here is just a snapshot of our blueprint. This is our Bible, and this is what we're working towards as an organisation. We have our strategic priorities, and one of those being to piggyback off Geoff's point around sustainability is that industry-leading sustainability outcomes, and I'll touch a little bit about on what that looks like for Elders at the end of this presentation. But here you can see, as mentioned, our strategic priorities, our enablers, and of course our values. So again, this is what we live and die by, this document. Moving on to our careers. So our early careers program, we have recently expanded. So there's 4 streams that exist within those entry-level pathway opportunities into Elders, and I'll touch on those in a moment. I'll try and get this video working. See how we go, keep our fingers crossed before I touch on our careers. Oh, it's going to go to the end on me again.
As a brand, it's nationwide. It's one of the most recognisable brands in the agricultural sector. The minute you pull on that pink shirt, it doesn't matter where you're based or what you do, we're one Elders. We're one company. We're there to support each other. We're there to support our clients, and we're there to produce the best possible outcomes.
The thing that has kept me coming back and working with Elders for the last 14 years is really about the people. We have a great team here in Dubbo and I really enjoy coming to work with them every day. We've got a really good culture within our branch. We very much focus on teamwork, trying to keep things positive. We're all part of the team. We're all here to support each other.
The relationship building within the company is always very, very strong. New people come into the business, they start out as work colleagues, but it's not too much longer before really the amount of times we spend together, they become family.
We really work hard to exceed client expectations. We work with honesty and integrity, and that's really important. Going above and beyond for those clients. So at the end of the day, they just go, wow, you know, I couldn't have asked for more. We've got everything that we needed from Elders.
We can go 1, 2 and 3 steps further for our clients, and we can offer the farm supplies, we can offer the insurance, we can offer the finance. So it's all about teamwork.
There's something good going on with the pink shirt when there's so many people within the network that are around for such a long time. It's a very recognisable and established brand, and so something that we're proud to be a part of.
Some recognisable Dubbo faces in that video there too. Come on, there we go. So on to our 4 different streams of our early careers. So starting with our rural products program. So we've recently just expanded this one to a national program after piloting it in Queensland for a couple of years. So this here is a true entry-level role into, I guess, the retail side of the business and retail sales. So it's a 12-month program where you're located just in one branch to get the skills needed to, I guess, progress into the next step, which is a rural product sales rep, whether that be in store or on road, but giving you all the skills that you need to really build out yourself as a salesperson, and whether or not you specialise in the different retail products that are available in store, AgCareers, fertiliser, animal health, or just general retail. There's a lot of different opportunities for people once they get their foot in the door and understand what retail offerings we have in our branches. We have one of our sort of longer standing programs in our early careers suite is our agronomy program. So this is a 2-year program broken up by 3, I guess, rotations. So 2 6-month rotations plus a 12-month, and that allows the participants who've graduated with their agronomy degree to really get the opportunity to try different segments. So whether that be they want to try cotton, horticulture, viticulture, broadacre, pastures, whatever that might be, we can provide that opportunity for people to get that experience, and then hopefully understand where they want to focus and what segment, and then we can look to build out what that looks like in the sort of the next 12 months of the longer stint of the program. We have our corporate graduate program. So again, this is another new one that we commenced last year. So at the moment, we've got 2 corporate graduates located in our head office in Adelaide, one in marketing and one in IT. And we'll look to recruit again for that program next year. And, you know, the opportunities in there are endless. There's finance, there's HR, again, there's the IT, there's the marketing. So it kind of just gives that different pathway into agriculture based in our head office in Adelaide. And then another program that we've had around for a number of years is our livestock program. And this is about an 18-month program that we offer. And again, entry level, it gives people the opportunity to, you know, if you're interested in sheep, cattle, wool, we can provide you with different locations so that you can try those different the different livestock out and then figure out where you want to go from there. So it's really about what you want to do and where your interests are, and we try and facilitate that as best we can. So what else sits behind our early careers participants is around salary. So they're paid a competitive market salary, and we also provide for those that live away from home a rental allowance, a weekly rental allowance, because there is a requirement to move around. And at the moment, obviously, there's a bit of a challenge in trying to find short-term accommodation, particularly in some of those more rural and remote towns. So we help provide assistance there, not only with the rental allowance, but also partnering up with our branches and some of our real estate connections as well, to get people in there. And then give you the tools that you need to succeed. Things like, you know, laptops, iPads, mobiles, but also access to mentors. So we have specific mentors for each stream located in the various states that help build your career. We provide the training and the development that, again, is specific and tailored to what it is that you want to do and what you want to achieve. And then, of course, the opportunity to move right around Australia. So we have people from Victoria in our current agronomy program that are coming up to Queensland for a 6 to 12 month stint. We've got people that have gone from New South Wales over to Western Australia and South Australia down to Tasmania. So it really just depends on where your interest lies, and for, in some instance, whether you're brave enough to travel to a completely different state and a completely different location that's unknown. But obviously, you know, there's the power of the pink shirt and the family gets behind you to make sure that you succeed. Lastly, touching on sustainability at Elders. So I'm not going to read through all these the dot points on the slides here, but I guess some of the priorities and some of our highlights that we have recently achieved a solar farm installation at our Killara feedlot. So obviously that's a focus area for us, given the cattle and what they produce, and so what we can do there to help reduce that footprint. So they've also done some work on the feed that the cattle are given as well to try and reduce some of those emissions. Recycling, so 41,000 ag chemical containers have been collected for recycling. We've also partnered in the community side of things, in event sponsorship and donations, and we're continuing the rollout of all of our branches of solar and energy efficient lighting. So again, our sustainability team is one that's got a lot of focus and one that's certainly growing as the need for sustainability is highlighted, and being an ASX listed organisation as well, it's a priority for us to make sure that we're hitting those targets and making progress. So just touching on here, and I left this last slide in, so this is something that we show to, I guess, as part of our induction program, but to all of our new employees, so they've got an understanding on the part that they play when you come into being an employee of Elders. So I thought it would be worthwhile showing the various different ways in which employees play a role within the organisation. So safety, obviously that's a big part. Being in the ag industry, there's many hazards, driving livestock, forklifts, so we always encourage our people, safety at the forefront of mind. Relationships and partnerships. We need to be providing that positive experience with our clients, but also with each other. Sales, it drives our existence. So anyone that comes into any of those kind of entry-level roles has got to have the want and desire to succeed in the sales environment, because that's what our business is. Innovate, so any ideas, we love hearing them. Pie in the sky, just give it your best crack and see what you come up with. We always like to hear what people are thinking. Our culture, underpinned by our values. Sustainability, again, there it is. That's a massive part of what our employees play. That's a bit of a, yeah. The working capital, there's always got to be something finance related in there, doesn't it? Integrity, personal development. So that's another massive part that we expect our employees to want to drive their own personal development. We can't do that. You've got to come to the party with us as well. Tell us what you want to do and we can help facilitate it. And that's me done.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself there. Rookie error. Thanks so much, Mel. If anyone has a question for Elders, please pop it into the chat box. I had about 100, but look, one thing that really struck me, and I think Elders do it really well, is that I was talking to someone at a conference just recently about sustainability, and how about sustainability in agriculture is not just about the environment, it's also about the sustainability of the people that you work with. And I feel like elders do that really well and really look after your people. And, you know, through all those ways that you mentioned, you know, extra training support programs. Mel, is there all these early career programs, do they open at a particular time of year that students should look out for?
Yeah, they do. So around June, sort of late June, early July is when those programs open up with various different start dates. So we've got our next cohort of agronomists and livestock trainees starting sort of October, November and February next year. Yeah, but generally it's sort of that middle of the year. Our socials have all of the information. So whether it be Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or even just checking back on our website, jump on those.
Great. Thank you so much. I can't see any questions that have popped up.
So I thought one thing I forgot to touch on was just in relation to the career pathways post, I guess, finishing those entry-level kind of early careers programs. And I guess the opportunities are, I'm not going to say endless. There is a limited amount of roles that exist within elders, but it's leadership. So plenty of leadership roles. So for instance, we've had a couple of our guys out of the livestock trainee program that have ended up being state livestock managers or livestock managers or branch managers, and same with in the agronomy space and in the rural products as well. So there's many different ways you can become specialists and kind of step sideways into state roles or move into the leadership roles, or just keep obviously going and maintaining in the rep roles or the livestock roles that you are successful in obtaining at the end of the program. But obviously there's different development opportunities post those.
Yeah, and again, that occurrence of, you know, there's opportunity at every level, and there's always that opportunity to move up. Bonnie's got a question. How many people a year do elders accept for their early careers program for each one? Is there a set number or?
Yeah, so every second year is a smaller intake because of the length of the programs. We want to be able to provide the cohorts access to the training and development and the mentors that we have available in each location in each state. So this year we took on 10 or 12 as in 2023, but in 2022 the intake was 30. Okay. So again, it just depends, on sort of business needs as to what that looks like and in which stream that relates to as well.
Thanks so much, Mel. Thank you for being here yet again. I'm going to keep moving because I'm already running late, because I just want to talk to you guys all so much. I think you've got so much valuable stuff to say. But let's jump forward and welcome Haylee Murrell, who's the outbound project officer for the AgCareer Start Gap Year program. How are you going, Haylee?
I'm good. Sorry, I just had to find the unmute button. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming.
I'm just checking that you guys can see my screen now.
Sure can.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you again. My name's Haylee. I am the AgCareer Start Outbound Project Officer. So what is AgCareer Start? So for you guys that might not know, we are a fairly new program. This is our third year running, which is really exciting. But we are a gap year program for young people looking to get their start in agriculture, whether that might be a year after school, it might be a break after university, or it might just be a way to get new skills, apply knowledge, and build confidence. So it is a 10 to 12 month program. During this 10 to 12 months, you will be matched with a host farmer based on your skills and interest. You're going to have a full-time position for those 10 to 12 months. You will receive training, mentoring, and support. You'll have access to industry events, conferences, and a network of peers, a $4,500 training and engagement bursary, as well as having a cohort that's going through the program with you. So for 2024, we are accepting 100 applicants to be placing them on farm all across Australia. So I'll just introduce you to the team to begin with. So we are an all-woman team. There's only 4 of us. So we have Kayla in the middle, who is our project manager. Steph, to the end, is our community engagement officer. Chloe is our training and careers development officer, and myself, as I mentioned, the outbound project officer. So where can you go and what can you do? AgCareer Start places young people all across Australia. We can basically find you a placement wherever you would like to go. If there is a special niche somewhere that you've always wanted to work, maybe it's on the Western Australian coast, it might be somewhere in the Northern Territory, we will do our best to find you that farm and place you there. So what kind of farms can you work on? So we do have quite a wide range. So these are just a couple. So while you might think of the typical cattle, sheep industries, we also have equine, forestry for those young people interested in maybe a more environmental approach. We have horticulture, pork, poultry, seafood. We have oyster farms, we have opal farms, we have salmon farms. Seafood's one of the most exciting industries. And if again, you do have a special niche of industry that you'd like to work on. For example, we had someone that wanted to work with camels last year, so we placed them on a camel farm. We can help you find that farm to work on. I know, camel farm, pretty exciting. I think that could have been an avenue I would have wished to went down. So in the program, as I mentioned, we do have a training and welfare officer. So we're not just placing you on farm and saying good luck. You will be looked after, and we're there to basically provide you support during those 12 months. So during that 12 months, you'll be in regular contact with Steph. She will be there to support you as you move on to farm, and she will be available to answer any questions you might have. This could be something as simple as, I don't know how to talk to my boss, or how do I do my groceries, or we do get the regular, how do I cook food? That's probably a common one. We're there to support you during that 12 months. Steph's role is also to help you take advantage of the industry events and networking opportunities. So she'll be there to connect you with the other 100 participants on farm, and she'll be there to make connections with different industry bodies or people that you might want to connect with. So Chloe's role, this is the most exciting part of the program, I believe, is to help you use your $4,500 training bursary. So every person on farm will have $4,500 to spend on any kind of training and development that they would like. We're very passionate that as long as you are using this to upskill, get something out of, whether that could be a license, it could be attending a conference, it might be doing a short course online. We are very, very happy to support you doing whatever you'd like. That $4,500 is completely up to you to spend. So Chloe's role is also during that 12 months to help you develop that training plan. So if you would like to go onto a beef farm, for example, you might be interested in doing some safe livestock handling courses. You might want to attend Young Beef Producers Forum, which is at the end of the year. We'll help you set that up so that it best works with your farmer and also yourself. So this is some of the examples that our current and previous participants have spent their bursary on. So as you can see, these are some of the conferences that they've attended. So it might be Grain Growers, Innovation Generation. We had Cotton Conference, Hort Connections, Beef X. Basically, if you find it and you're passionate about it and you would really like to attend and you can see some benefit, we'll get you there. We pay for your flights, we pay for your accommodation, we pay for your ticket to attend, and we'll pay for your food while you're there. So really, it's a great way to access free training. I know as a young person finishing high school, even in my beginning of my university degree, something like this doesn't come around, and these events can be very expensive. Some of the training that our participants have spent their bursary on. So it could range from a first aid certificate, it might be motorbike training. We've had lots of people do their truck licenses, shearing school, science communication courses. The list really goes on and on. It's very, very popular. It's a great way to do something that you might have been putting off for a while. So I'll just skip ahead. So after these 10 to 12 months, we're not just going to go see you later. We like to keep a really close cohort and we like to keep in contact with everyone. We do have an alumni program, which is currently in the works. They meet every couple of months to check in with how everyone's going. We provide scholarship opportunities. We provide connections to different businesses and different industries that these our past participants might be interested in achieving. And Chloe will help you set that up. There is also the opportunity that if you really like your host farm and you want to stay on farm for longer, there might be additional employment. So I've kind of run through what the program is. I'll just go through how it works. So for this year, I got the wrong date there, I do apologise. Our applications opened on the 15th of August. So this is for our 2024 intake. Our applications are closing on the 15th of October, which is actually in a month, which is very exciting. After the applications have closed, we'll go through all of our farmers and screen them to basically make sure that they are looking for a young employee, what kind of employee they're looking for and what they can offer. And then we will match the participant applications with that farmer application, depending on what they're after, the selected industry and the geographical preference. So when you do apply, you can pick how far from home you'd like to go. I did mention it's a national program. If, for example, I live in Armidale, New South Wales, I only wanted to move an hour from home, I could put that preference in and then we would match you with a farm close to that. Otherwise, maybe you want to move as far away from your siblings as possible. You might say, take me to the top of the Northern Territory. We will help match you there as well. And then from January next year, our placements will commence. So what do you need to apply? It's a really, really simple application. It doesn't take that much time. You apply directly through our AgCareer Start website. As simple as typing AgCareer Start in, you'll find our website. Now you have the option to either prepare an 800-word statement or a 5-minute video. There's not a preference. It's just depending on, some people don't like writing essays and some people can express themselves better in a video. So it's whatever you're comfortable with. You just need to express why you want to join the AgCareer Start program and why you want to have a gap year in agriculture. So all we want to see is that you're passionate and that you'd like to get involved. You also need an up-to-date resume and a referee who can basically provide that character reference. So once we received your application, we will offer you a position in the program. So as I mentioned, you will start in January next year. Once that you've arrived on farm, you will do a farm safe induction. So you will have some kind of experience before you're going on farm. I will note more than 50% of our current intake and previous applications have had no experience in farming, and this has not been a barrier for them. They have learnt so much and our farmers have had nothing but good things to say. So once you've done your online induction through FarmSafe, we will assist you in relocating. So that might be financial support. It might be helping you find financial support. Our farmers are also really, really willing and flexible, and they can also assist with this. During that first 2 weeks on farm, you'll be inducted into the business, and the farm will also complete their farm safe. So everyone's up to the same page. Everyone knows what's going on. You're not just walking onto the farm with zero experience. We make sure that you do have some kind of awareness of what it's going to be like on farm. So I will just use Lucy as one of our examples. So Lucy was a participant, last year in 2023. Lucy was really, really lucky. She worked on Tipperary Station in the Northern Territory. So she grew up hearing stories of the North that really sparked her desire to experience for herself, but she wasn't sure how to align her passion for the environment with a role in the top end. So she applied for AgCareer Start, and she was really lucky to be matched with host farmer Bruce, who is at Tipperary Station, and they employed Lucy in a conservation management role. So during her 12 months, she worked with Bruce in the lemon orchard and further afield on the station, managing the natural rangelands on the property. So this role can be completely flexible and completely catered to what you're interested in. So it's not just what you can imagine working on farm. It can be anything that you would like. You just need to put this in your application. So Lucy's now actually studying at university and looking to go back to Tipperary Station to work in an environmental position once she finishes uni in the next couple of years. So some questions that we do get, I'll just go through these quickly. Do you have to have a driver's license? No, but it does help. So some of our farms are obviously very isolated depending on where you could be going. So it is essential if you would like to leave the farm, you might need to have a car or a license. Again, this is not a barrier. If it's not something that you have, we can place you closer to a regional centre. So accommodation and meals provided. Just depends on the farm. If you are after accommodation and or meals, please put this in your application and we will only match you with farmers who can offer and provide this. I would say majority of our farms do offer accommodation, and generally it can be free or a small deduction is taken out of your wage. So how much can you earn on this on the farm? So all of our participants earn at above or equal to the award level wages. So that is something that we do check before you're going on farm, and that can really depend. We have someone on farm this is his second year and he's earning something like $70,000. So it can be a really good income. What if you get to the farm and it's not what you thought? That's what we're here for. We're available basically 24/7 to answer any questions that you might have. If you get to the farm and you're not sure if it's for you or you're not enjoying it, you might get a little bit homesick, we can place you on another farm closer to home. You will get time off, just depends on the farm and the kind of contract that you're on. But if you are a full-time employee, you will be guaranteed to 3 weeks annual leave. And most importantly, how do you give yourself the best chance of getting into the program? So we're looking for motivated, passionate young people. If you can put that into your application, that's all that we're looking for. We just want you to take this 12-month experience and run with it and get the best opportunity out of it. So I'll finish up there. Does anyone have any questions?
Thanks so much, Haylee. I think one of the questions was about the accommodation, which you've you just ticked off actually. So I've followed that one up in the chat. Thank you so much. It's such a great program, and applications are open at the moment for both farmers and gap year students. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we've got another month left of application.
And you sort of take, it just depends on how many applications you get and how many farmers you have as to how many students you take in each cohort, or do you have a set number?
So next year, our set number is 100 applicants we'll be taking. So we have 100 farms and we're looking for 100 applicants, yes.
Wow, that's great. I spoke with some of this year's cohort down at Innovation Generation, and they were all really passionate, engaged, and just loving the post that they were on. So guys, if you are thinking about taking a gap year next year, I would definitely look up the AgCareers Start program because it really does offer so many benefits. I'm going to keep charging on. Thank you so much for being with us. If anyone's got questions afterwards, please send them through. I'm sure Haylee would be happy to answer them. Just a reminder before we move on that if you are here with a school, to please put your school name into the chat box so you can go into the lucky draw for that $300 voucher for your school's ag program. And next up we have John Hurford, who's the school's engagement senior advisor with Dairy Australia. Hi John, thanks for joining us. I grew up on a dairy farm and I sort of can't wait to hear what you've got to chat with us about today.
Hi Melanie, it's great to be here. I've got a lot of colleagues in the chat who are in the roles of our regional officers, and so any tricky questions or any further contacts, I've got some great people who I can connect people to. My family were dairy farmers as well in the Murray, and probably at a period where it was really tough to be dairy farmers, and were part of that sort of exodus that sometimes hits farms when there are tough times. I'm here as the school's advisor, but I guess this is also sort of shows some of the roles in these agricultural bodies and groups. If if students are wondering about some of these food and fibre groups, they can think of that all of these food and fibre groups have someone like me and then teams of people within them that are another sort of world of work to be explored as well. But I'm going to share some content now, and I'll take you through those big sort of top level ideas about working in dairy.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. If you could just give me a nod, if you can see. Excellent. Thanks. So I guess those big sort of picture things, the reasons to explore a job in dairy. Number one, it's a rewarding job that feeds a nation. A lot of people are attracted to working with animals, with calf rearing, which we'll talk about later. There are heaps of interesting things to learn on the farm and off. And it's really a journey that you can turn your dairy job you might have as a young person or even as a holiday job into a career, a lifelong career. And we'll talk about some of those pathways that you can access the industry in as well. A brief little snapshot. There are over 4,000 dairy farms. We all consume about 94 litres of dairy every year. And there's $4.7 billion of production at the farm gate that supports this economy of ours. We like to think of milk as a superfood with 10 essential nutrients, with all of these sort of complex minerals and vitamins that help healthy bones and teeth and build strong muscles. All of the research points to it being good for heart health, blood pressure, and maintaining a healthy weight. The dairy promise, we're an industry that takes seriously those challenges that are coming and that are present with us, which means providing the best care for our animals, reducing our environmental impact, improving the health and well-being for people, and enhancing the livelihoods of farmers. The roles that you might think of if you're on farm all have a kind of off-farm component or help or integral part as well. If you think about milking on farm, well, then there's where the milk goes to with a milk processing plant and all of the opportunities there, and into cheese and cheese making and yogurt. If you think about feeding your cows, animal nutritionists come in and help farmers get that mix of pasture, of supplemental feed to produce these quantities of milk. Pastures themselves, so the grass that you might be growing, is helped by your agronomist and sort of people who come and test your soil and help you get the most out of your land. If you think about harvest time for some of that pasture, you're going to bring in a contractor who might sort of bale it up for you and store it. And same with fencing. You've got supply shops and people who can come out and do that, or you can be doing that work yourself. Similarly with budgets, might be something that you do yourself as part of a team, or you might get outside assistance. So there's lots of those allied fields that all go into making farms, healthy, profitable, safe, technologically advanced sort of places that they're becoming. The jobs in dairy can be, a lot of people are attracted to raising calves and being with animals, but there are also more technical science and research roles. You can think about artificial insemination. There's a huge lot of work being done in drones and virtual fencing and the movement monitors that we use on cows to sort of look at their health and look at their fertility. And then there's the environment that cows are in and keeping those waterways clean and clear, and dealing with effluent, all of those sort of complex challenges of dealing with living things. If you're into something like food tech at the moment as a student, think about all of those post-farm uses for for milk, into confectionery, cheeses, into powdered milk, into all of those recipes that we use and those big kind of productions of food that we all enjoy. Think of how you've got to store this milk in stainless steel. You need engineers, welders, plumbers. You need people to fix and service machinery like that. And finally, you've got those soft people skills as well. There are people similar to my role who are going out and talking to people primarily. If you're a regional extension officer, you might go out and talk to a farmer about their disaster management plan or what they think they can do to be more efficient, or pass on their farm to maybe a share farmer or to a younger person in their family, for instance. What does the future hold? Well, the growing demand for milk means that you'll be part of something that feeds the world. We're an essential industry, and technology is really coming for every facet of the farm life, and aspects like drones, artificial intelligence, they're all being leveraged to make farms at that kind of safe, efficient, profitable place. If you get into the industry, you do have that contact with living creatures, and if you think about the roles of calf rearers and vets, obviously, but you'll also be part of an industry that supports each other as well, and has networks for younger people, has networks specifically for women, has that kind of that helping each other out through the regions is a really strong part of dairy. And of course, you'll work in some of Australia's most beautiful, idyllic places. As you can see that farmer there. I should know where that is, but what are the pathways? They could start anywhere. It could start as a part-time job or as a holiday role. You could go into the vocational sector. You could think about traineeships, academic pathways as well through ag colleges and university. There's also trades like diesel mechanics that directly interact with farms. And the gap year, of course, from AgCareers Start should get a mention there. You could organise your own gap year. You could talk to school contacts about organising a gap year experience, but you shouldn't miss out on checking out AgCareers Start as well. Once you're in the industry, you'll find that Dairy Australia, for instance, wants to support you and develop you as a person and as a farmer. That might be through tours or study tours and helping you grow your own herd. You can think of your herd as your kind of, I guess, living asset that you're trying to build and keep healthy and keep producing efficiently. So you'll always have these training opportunities that Dairy Australia wants to support you in as well. We would really hope that you could see dairy as an industry that values you. There are jobs available at all of these levels, from entry level through to mid-career and career changes. And we'd really like to see people join those roles and help our communities thrive. I've sort of raced through things, but I wanted to leave a bit of time for Q&A. I've got people in the chat who might contribute as well if I get any specific regional questions, but I'm happy to take any questions now. And yeah.
Thanks so much, John. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel rushed, but I think that's it's fantastic, the opportunities that are available. And again, what we're hearing again is that at every level there's jobs there, there's job satisfaction there, and there's the opportunity to progress and move your career through the industry if that's what you're passionate about. I'll just check in the chat and see. Is there, John, is there specific, does Dairy Australia run any traineeship programs directly themselves, or is it all out through the states and various other bodies?
That's a good question. We're certainly a point of contact for all of the opportunities. And then we run a lot of, we have an online platform, which is a learning platform to help train farmers and train people on farms. I think we're usually connecting with other institutions for those formal qualifications, but we've sometimes partnered with those institutions to make dairy specific courses under the certs or diplomas.
Yeah, great. That's look, it's just listening to you speak, and someone else mentioned this in the chat. It is making me a little bit hungry. I could go a cheese platter right about now. Thanks so much for your time, John. I really appreciate you being here. And if we do have any other questions, we will forward them on after the end. Our next speaker is Sally Poole. Now, Sal, I believe you started off as a bit of a city slicker, and you've somehow found yourself up in northern New South Wales working as an agronomist and specialising in digital ag technology. That area is moving pretty fast. Can you just give us a bit of an insight about where it's all at and what we can look forward to?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I did start out as a city slicker. So I'm just going to try and share my screen at the same time here. But I'm actually grew up on the northern beaches of Sydney. I'm currently in Sydney at the moment. So if a plane goes over, I do apologise. They are very noisy where I am. But yes, so my name is Sally Poole, and I'm an agronomist and digital ag consultant. And today I'm going to be talking about ag tech and digital agriculture. What is the future of agricultural innovation? So I've got a lot to cover, so I apologise if I run over, but I'm going to try and squeeze it all in. So I'm going to really quickly touch on the ag technological revolutions we've had in just the past 150 to 200 years, because I think it's really important to see where we've come from and where we're going in such a short amount of time. I'm going to then talk about some ag tech and what that is current and what digital agriculture is. And then I'll talk about my role as a digital ag consultant, what I think some of the farms of the future may look like, and then touch on some skills that we need in ag tech. So if you go back to just a bit over 150 years ago, this is what our ag tech looked like. So we had a plough that was pulled by horses or oxes, and it was all very, very manual. At the beginning of the 19th century, alongside the Industrial Revolution and the invention of the combustion engine, we got some of our first tractors. Now, this one's actually pretty modern for that time, but it has led to a massive increase in yield and the ability of farmers to manage much more land. Fast forward to today, and this is what our the agricultural mechanical revolution has looked like. We have our tractors, sprayers, and headers that all manually do a lot of this work for us. So as the operator, we can sit in a nice aircon cab and do the work. So the next revolution we had was the Green Revolution, which was in the 1950s and 60s. So a guy by the name of Norman Borlaug improved the way the techniques and the technology behind plant breeding. So in creating hybridized plants, which basically produced shorter wheat and barley and rice varieties, but they put more energy into the grain, less energy into growing really, really big. At the same time was the introduction of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. So this helped us improve the nutrition that we're giving our crops, but also manage the pests and diseases that we're facing. Fast forward to today, and we're really at the beginning of the digital agricultural revolution. And I think this is one of the most exciting times to be working in ag, and particularly in this agricultural innovation and digital agricultural space. So we have so many different ag tech that's out there collecting data for us. And it is our role now to sort of start thinking, okay, well, how are we going to use this data to be better, more sustainable farmers? And how are we going to use this to help fight the challenges of climate change? So I'm just going to quickly run through here some of the ag tech that we have. So I hope you can see my mouse, but as I said, we have headers. So this header not only has GPS, but it also has auto steer. So whoever's sitting in the cab does not have to drive from one end of the field to the other. It's all automatically done. Their role is just to turn around at the end of the paddock and hit auto steer again. But not only that, these headers are collecting so much data for us. So they're collecting yield data, and these days even protein data. So up the top here, we actually have a yield map of a wheat field from back in 2021. And each color there represents a different yield that we got for each point within that field. You know, this is really, really cool and very, very informative data. So we now actually have protein maps that look very similar to this, but are measuring the quality of that grain across the field. Down the bottom here is actually a electromagnetic induction map, or an EM map. And so we have all these different types of technology that are helping us like survey our soil, whether it's elevation or electromagnetic induction. And so electromagnetic induction is basically telling us where the clay, the salt, and the water is in our soil. And this is really important for understanding the variability in our soil, so we can help improve the management of that. Up the top here, we have a swarm bot, which I think has to be one of the coolest technologies out at the moment. So a swarm bot is an autonomous robot that runs around predominantly our fallow fields, so our fields that have no crop in them. And on their back, it's actually got a spray rig. And on that spray rig, it's got 12 to 16 cameras that are looking for weeds. And every time it sees a weed in that bare field, it will spray it. So instead of spraying the whole field, it's just targeting those weeds. So watch this space, because I think that autonomous robot space is going to be huge in the future. At the top here, we have a digital soil map. So this comes back to sort of our EM maps and our yield maps, but this is sort of helping us understand every single point within our field and how the soil is behaving and how it's affecting our crop. And then we can actually create variable rate maps of that, so matching the fertilizer to the capability of that soil at each point within the field. Below that, we've got a soil moisture probe. So we've got soil moisture probes and weather stations throughout our farms, which are helping us plan when we're going to irrigate based on how much moisture is left in the field. And this is really important for increasing our water efficiencies. And then down the bottom here, of course, we have a drone. So we've got drones that fly across fields that collect lots of images for us, but we also have lots and lots of satellites that are doing the same thing every day, day in and day out, collecting imagery such as NDVI, so we can use that to sort of understand how our crop is growing, or how there might be hotspots in there that we need to go look at because they're not performing or they're overperforming, and trying to use this information to understand what is driving our production and how we can improve that. So there's lots of ag tech in the animal space as well. Everyone always thinks it's just mostly in the cropping space, but there's heaps in the animal space. So again, I've got a drone down here. People are actually starting to use drones to muster their cattle. But we're also using drones to check fences, check water troughs, and just generally check our cattle. Up the top, I've got a picture of some feed supplements. So people always forget about this, but the feed supplement space, there's a lot of technology into what's going into our feeding our animals to improve their health, improve their life, and improve their production. So one really cool one that is sort of being implemented at the moment is the use of a certain type of seaweed, which we're feeding to our cattle to reduce the amount of methane they're producing. That's pretty cool stuff. Over in the top right, we have an ultrasound machine. So people get to that vet tech is really, really big. So an ultrasound machine here is helping us determine whether a cow is pregnant or not, but there is a whole massive space in that vet tech side that is helping us make sure we have happy, healthy animals. Down the bottom, I've got a picture of an ear tag here where the cow's head in a feed trough. So our ear tags are collecting and transmitting so much data for us about our animals. So in this feed trough here, there's actually a little sensor, so we can work out how long that cow had its head in the feed trough, how much, so we can work out whether it was eating enough or not, or whether it hadn't been to the feed trough at all. So that's sort of an indicator of the animal's health, and then we can go check on that animal. But throughout a lot of these farms, they also have a weigh scale. So every time they walk over a weigh scale, we can weigh the animal, and that will transmit back to the farmer. So a lot of this data is then getting fed back to the farmer, who can access it on their phone. So there's a lot of innovation in different software platforms where the farmer can collect this data, see this data and analyze it, whether it's on their phone or their computer, so that they can then help manage their individual animals and their herd as a whole. So what is my role? So when I graduated university as an agronomist only 7 years ago, my role as a digital ag consultant didn't exist. This space is moving so quickly. So a lot of the roles that you guys might take up in the future might not exist yet. So it's a very exciting space to be working in, and it's moving very quickly. So yes, I am an agronomist, so I'm a field consultant. So I spend half my time out in the field, helping farmers manage their cropping systems predominantly. So helping them manage their soils, recommending what crops to plant and when, managing for pests and disease, helping them work out what to spray and when to spray. But also the other half of my role is a digital ag consultant. So in that space, I'm using all this data we're collecting and then working out ways to use this to understand what is driving our production, and then how do we use that to be more sustainable and more resilient farmers in the face of climate change. So that role involves a lot of things. So yes, I could get to spend a lot of time out in the field with farmers, which is always good fun. I spend a lot of time digging in the dirt. That's a picture of me in a soil pit up the top. And I love dirt, so it's a good thing. So I'm always in there digging around. But then the other half of my time is spent analysing on the computer, analysing a lot of this data. So using all the data we've been collecting, and then using things like interpreting machine learning and AI to create digital soil maps and to create maps of basically soil productivity and understand how that's affecting our crop year in, year out. And then I might be creating things like variable rate maps like this one up the top, so that I can give to the farmer so they can match their fertilizer application to the capability of that land. And there's a whole lot of other types of analysis I do in the background as well to help those farmers understand what is driving their production. So it brings me to the farms of the future. Now, I think this is a very exciting space to be working in, and really we're just limited by our imaginations here. Obviously, the effects of climate change are really going to challenge us, and that's why I think we really need more and more innovative people in this area to come up with solutions. So starting at the top here, I've got a whole lot of trees. So I think we're going to be planting a lot more trees in the future. Not only are they great carbon sinks, but they also provide really good habitat for our livestock and our native animals, but also for a lot of our beneficial insects that we're really going to need to help protect our crops in the future. At the top, I have a solar farm because I think in the future, a lot of our farm equipment will be all electric. So there's a little charging station there with an electric tractor. Below that, I actually have not just one drone, but multiple. I think we're going to have swarms of drones flying through the sky, checking on things, collecting data, analysing stuff, checking our livestock, herding our livestock, whatever it might be. And over here, you can see this little mechanical or robotic dog. And this is where I'm saying, I think we're going to have swarms of these swarm bots or these mechanical dogs running around, planting seed, checking individual plants, maybe applying fertilizer, spraying just individual plants or areas for us. It's only really limited by our imagination there. Down this bottom corner, I've got a triangle with a leaf. So that's to represent, I think we need to be a lot more innovative in our circular economy on the farm. So minimizing the inputs that we're bringing in, minimizing our waste, but also not just on farm, in our whole food system. So is there, compost that we can be collecting back off the consumer or supermarkets and bringing back onto farm as a way of replacing the nutrition? So we really need to start thinking about this sort of more circular economy in agriculture. Then I've got a picture of two crops here. So I think the plant breeding is really going to have a massive role in the future in the resilience of our crops, whether that's GM. At the moment, we don't actually have any food GM varieties in Australia, only oil seeds. But that's only one plant breeding technique that we could use. There's many others. But I think also having a look at different types of crops, whether they're indigenous or crops that are native to other parts of the world, things like quinoa or chia, or wallaby grass in Australia. I think changing our food system and changing the way we think and using crops that might be more tolerant to drought is a really innovative way of going. Then over here, I've got a little autonomous tractor. So I think in the future, our tractors won't have cabs at all. They're just going to be fully autonomous, and someone's going to be controlling them remotely. So we'll send them out to give them a job, they'll do the job, come back to their docking station. Up here, I have a little picture of our cows. So as I said, we're already collecting a lot of data off them, and I think as sensors improve, we're only going to be able to collect more and more. And here I've got a little virtual fence, as John mentioned. We've got virtual fences. These are sort of already available, but I think they're going to become more common. So basically the cow is wearing a collar, and when it gets close to the edge of the fence, it gets sort of like a warning signal. And then if it gets too close to the edge of the virtual fence, they get a little zap, just like an electric fence would work. So this is all going to help us monitor our cattle and move them around, which is going to improve our soil management and our pasture management. Up the top, got a little irrigator. So again, I think technology is really going to help us target our water to match our little plants or our soil types better. So using variable rate technology and all this data we're collecting to improve our water efficiency. Now up the top, I've got the big cloud of AI. So AI is definitely going to be helping us do this. You know, we have a lot of other data science techniques that already do help us collect and analyze and manage all this data. But I think in the next couple of years with AI, that's only going to get better, and it's only going to make it easier for us to understand what the data is telling us. So the farm office in the future, will it be this massive control room, or will it all be done from our phone? I mean, really, it's up to us. I think a lot of stuff is already going direct to our phone, which is great, or our computer. And it means that we can either be at the couch in the comfort of the aircon, at the beach maybe, or as a farmer walks around the farm or the field, they can check on the data, see if it makes sense, and then make management decisions from there. So what are some of the skills required in the future of digital ag tech? Well, we need so many people, and we need so many people with so many different expertise. As I said, my role didn't exist only 7 years ago. So I think we need to sort of think about, okay, what are all the different skills we need? We don't know what the role will be yet, but we need people with lots of diverse skills. So we need agronomists, vets, AI specialists, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, boilermakers, mechanics, logistics experts, manufacturers, IT specialists, farmers, but most importantly, we need you guys. As the younger generation with such a good grasp on technology, we need you guys to come through and help us be involved in dealing with the challenges of climate change and dealing with the challenges of climate change on farm and ways we can improve our farming systems through technology and data. Now, I've really zoomed through that because I know we're running over time, but is there any questions?
We're not too far over time, Sal. It's okay. Don't stress too much. But Debbie has asked, how technical are you with regards to the ag tech? That is, are you just recommending the tech be used, or are you actively working with the technology and with the suppliers to implement it and to solve the problems that your clients might have?
Yeah, so I do both. So I use it, and I also work with a lot of ag tech providers to help improve it for them. I think the thing about ag tech at the moment is it is still a relatively small, I mean, there's a lot of providers out there, but it's still a relatively small space. And I think everyone's realized that we all need to work together. You know, it's not one person's going to have the brilliant idea and solve the world. And that's why I was saying we need people with so many different skills, because we've got to come at it with so many different perspectives and skills. So I'm also at university at the moment, so I'm also a research student at Sydney Uni, so I'm learning some of the cutting edge data management techniques at the moment. But in my day job, yes, I'm working with all sorts of different ag tech providers to try and work out how we can use this technology on the farm, and how I can use that in the sort of digital consulting I do to provide back to the farmer, or how I can use that as an agronomist to provide this information back to the farmer. So everyone's sort of working all together. It's very collaborative, and that's why we need more people with different diverse skills coming in and helping us along the way.
Yeah, that really is the sky's the limit, and how far can your imagination take you, I think, in this field at the moment. And I think that people will really, the role will be more as data interpreters and things like that. Like, you're really going to have to learn how to what decisions you want to make with that data, I guess, exactly. and how you use it. But the stuff that's coming out with the soil maps that you were showing us earlier is just unbelievable. I think at Innovation Generation, was it Steve Samatino or Samatina that was talking about us taking selfies of of crops so that we could build up the database of for crop identifications and stuff like that, and taking photos of our livestock so that we build up that wealth of information in the digital world around those species and subjects. It's just, yeah, it really is, the sky's the limit. Thank you so much, Sal, for joining us today. I really appreciate you coming and sharing your knowledge with us. It's a really, really interesting growth space, and if ag tech is your you know, what gets you excited about agriculture, then, you know, look into the sciences, the robotics, electronics, computer science, software engineering, all of those subjects is where you want to be looking. So thank you, Sal.
Thank you very much.
Next we have our horticulture friends. Hi, Costa, how are you going? So Costa is one of Australia's largest horticulture employers, and today we have Lisanne and Declan from Costa, Australia, to join us and give us a bit of a chat about what they're doing.
Thanks so much, Melanie, and thanks for having us, everyone, during your session today. So we'd love to talk to you a little bit about Costa, as Melanie said, one of the largest horticulture businesses in Australia, and one of the largest fruit and vegetable companies as well. So I'll start off with a few messages, and then Declan will talk a little bit more as well. But we can hop to the next slide there, Declan. So for those of you who have not heard of Costa, and I hope some of you have, the Costa business started in quite a small fruit shop in Geelong in Victoria more than 120 years ago, and since then clearly we've grown a lot. So at the moment we produce a consistent 52-week supply of fresh, high quality produce to customers in the following categories. So we've got avocados, berries, citrus, mushrooms, and then tomatoes. And we do employ quite a lot of employees, both across Australia and internationally in Morocco and China. A lot of those individuals are clearly coming in and out of the business at certain peak times of the year when our crop ripens and needs to be harvested. So it's not always close to the 10,000 number that you can see here, but we do have a lot of individuals through year round as well working for our business. So a little bit more about Costa. About 7,000, bit more even, planted hectares of land that we plant on. As you can see, the berries include blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, but also have the different streams and categories of citrus, avocados, bananas, and turntable grapes too. We've also got 3 main mushroom growing facilities, one in Victoria, one in South Australia, and one in WA. A number of strategic foreign interests with majority owned joint ventures, one of the biggest one being Driscoll's. So if you do buy berries, if you like your berries, you probably will have seen that brand on there a lot. So all the Costa produce generally tends to be sold as Driscoll's berries. And we also have 6 blueberry farms in Morocco and 4 in China. They're quite large farms, and you see some of the pictures on our Costa websites. You'll be amazed with the scale of some of these farms, and licensing of proprietary blueberry varieties across Americas, China, and Africa. Okay. So as you can see, we are a bit spread out all over the country, at least along the coastlines, as you can see, where we tend to grow the produce in the best manner. So clearly in 5 berry growing regions across 4 states, one in New South Wales, Tasmania, Western Australia, and also F&Q. The 2 international ones, as we touched on, in China and Morocco. Citrus regions at Costa are in South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales, which is the Sunraysia area, and in central Queensland. We touched on the mushroom growing facilities, and our tomato growing region is in Guyra. So again, big glass house that we've got there, growing a number of different tomato varieties. So growing your career at Costa. So we do, as I mentioned before, have quite a lot of people working for us. Our people is what makes us strong. Almost 10,000 full-time equivalent employees. We're very, very proud that we're quite a gender-balanced workforce, and a lot of organisations will hold themselves nowadays up to, they call a 40-40-20 standard. So 40% men, 40% women, and then the 20% can be any type of gender. We definitely fall within that range. So really, really proud of that. 37% of our agronomists are women, so strong female workforce, even in our technical roles there. We've got a 12 and an 18-month graduate development program, which Declan will talk to you guys about a little bit more in a moment. 102 different nationalities, so very, very culturally diverse in our workforce. Again, we bring larger groups of people into our business internationally at particular peak times of the year. So if you like to deal with different cultures and different nationalities, Costa would definitely be able to offer that. Career progression and development is something we're quite proud of, and that people always mention is one of the key things that makes Costa so interesting and attractive. We also offer some scholarships. The Costa Awards is a recognition program for those that have shown outstanding performances. And there's always national, international opportunities on offer, and they're always advertised via the Costa Careers website too. But particularly the Costa scholarships and the graduate development program might be quite interesting for us to talk a little bit more about in a moment. So entry-level positions, the type of positions that we find people getting into our business with, or into the industry with to begin with, are often as a graduate agronomist, but also other areas like IT. You can see finance on the other side, human resources, always looking for young and upcoming talent in that space. Administration tends to be a really good entry-level point for people coming into our business. Sales and marketing, there'll be trial assistant type of roles often for entry-level positions, and even the operations side. So picking, packing, forklift operating are things that we do see people jumping into in the earlier stages, I suppose, of the career steps at Costa.
Hello, my name's Declan, and I was a previous graduate here at Costa. The Costa Graduate Program aims to create leaders for the future through an intensive 12-month or 18-month hands-on program. The program entails sending graduates all across Australia to 3 different farming locations to allow graduates an opportunity to find out who they want to be and where they best fit in. During the 18-month program, graduates are subject to leadership trainings that involve bringing all graduates together. The training will teach you how to develop your skills needed to be great leaders for whatever position you end up taking here at Costa. During the training, you are given the opportunity to network with other graduates, farm managers from across Australia, as the training will take place in either the head office of the company or in many of the farm locations that we do have. This is a great opportunity for those who are wanting to join the horticulture sector, but don't exactly know what they want to do within it. And for me, the program allowed me to identify what I want to do within horticulture. When I started the program, I started in February last year, and I started in a place called Renmark, which is one of our citrus and avocado locations located in South Australia. Here, I was a citrus and avocado agronomist and was given the opportunity to work in the packing shed and at harvesting as well. But since I mainly want to stick in agronomy, they allowed me the opportunity to do that. Next, I moved into head office, which at the time was in Raven, directly under 2 executives working within the sustainability space. Within this rotation, I undertook group-wide assessments and waste analysis, as well as collected information and wrote sections of the Costa 2022 sustainability report. Lastly, I worked at the Murrell mushroom farm. I worked in all departments from harvesting all the way up to agronomy, where I ended up taking a position within this Murrell farm and am currently an agronomist on this site. Every site was full of people who wanted to help me develop further within my career. And still to this day, I still receive messages from all those people I worked with in other rotations or wanting to see how I'm going and what I'm wanting to do and still help me further develop myself in whatever areas that is. yeah, this is a great opportunity for graduates. And I truly believe if you want to get into horticulture, this is the best opportunity for you. Allows you just a chance to identify who you want to be in a number of different sections.
Thank you, Declan. And yeah, we spoke a little bit about this already, but I think our graduate program is, of course, a great way to experience the variety that Costa might have on offer. But there's also career opportunities generally available in the agronomy or horticulture space, as well as a range of other areas in our business. So, yeah, you can see them up there on the screen. I think that might have been the last slide. Is that right, Declan? Is there one more after this? Oh, there is. Yes, sorry. So the career pathways, if you're interested in a career of horticultural agronomy, we tend to recommend some of the following courses, either certificates, diplomas, advanced diplomas, masters, particularly when looking at the more farm management type of positions. You can see those on the right as well. So we would also look for leadership and business, agribusiness type of backgrounds as well. So that probably leads to the end of the presentation from Declan and myself, but very happy to take some questions if there is any.
Thanks so much, guys. I think you guys offer a great graduate program. I've heard some really, really good things about the career development that's available through that graduate program. And I think your presentation again just brings home this idea that there is learning opportunities at every level and career progression opportunities at every level too. So if anyone has a question for Costa, please don't be shy. Otherwise, we can send your questions through after the presentation today. Thanks so much, guys. We love having you and we love hearing about the program, and it just sounds like such a great rotation. And there's the Costa group. Jump on and follow these guys on socials, and that's probably, I think, one of the best ways to find out about what your favourite ad companies are doing is to jump on their socials and follow them, because that's where they, post so much about when programs are opening and applications are opening, that sort of thing. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Melanie. Thanks for having us, everyone.
Oh, thanks for coming. Our next speaker knew that she wanted to be in agriculture when she was just 12 years old and she first stepped onto a farm for the very first time. Again, another city slicker. I'd like to welcome Sarita Guy from Meat and Livestock Australia. Sarita, do you want to share with us a little bit about what your journey's been and how you've got to be where you are today?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Mel, and hi, everyone. Yeah, thank you, RuralBiz, for inviting me to speak at this event. What a great lineup. Lots of different career opportunities and areas that we can clearly work on in ag. Very exciting space. As Mel said, my name's Sarita. I work for Meat and Livestock Australia as a project manager for genetics adoption. And I'm based in Armidale, New South Wales. So what I'd like to share with you today is just about my journey in agriculture and how I developed a career specifically in livestock genetics. So with ag, we normally think about, producing and growing things from the paddock to plate, so providing things for our consumers. But my journey in ag has a very similar theme, but it was the opposite way. So what led me to the paddock was actually my plate. So when someone asks you to talk about, how did you end up where you are, it's pretty natural to think about where you first started. So some of my favourite memories growing up always revolved around food. So this is 2-year-old me next to my 4-year-old brother. Safe to say I really loved my food, and I still do. I actually used to steal my food from my brother growing up, which is probably why he ended up about half the size as me as a grown-up. But yeah, loved my food. But here I was, a kid in Sydney, loving her food, but absolutely no connection to where my food actually came from. So this connection was absolutely missing. But this completely changed when I first stepped on a farm, as Mel said, when I was 12. Went on a family road trip to Parks. So here's a photo of me looking at a merino sheep being shorn, and I'm pretty sure I was a little bit confused about the whole process, but this whole event completely opened my eyes and changed the way how I looked about where my food came from. And that was actually the event that made me think I really wanted to be a part of this industry that clothed and fed the world. So when it came to an actual career path, I have to say my parents were actually pretty traditional. They didn't want me to work in ag. They wanted me to do something like be a doctor. But apparently I'm actually really stubborn and I knew what I wanted. I knew what I liked. So I kind of went ahead with it. But being a city slicker like Sally, I had absolutely no idea where to really start. I think back in the day, 20 years ago, AgCareer Start didn't exist. Programs like that didn't exist, and neither did shows like Farmer Wants a Wife. That didn't exist, so didn't quite know a way in. But the most logical way for me that I thought was to actually go into study, build up my knowledge and technical skills, and work as an agricultural research scientist style of job. So going through to university. So that's what I did. University, the most obvious way forward, started off with a Bachelor of Animal and Veterinary Bioscience degree from Sydney Uni. Got to learn a range of things from animal health, disease, the very basics of science, on-farm production, agronomy. Went on to a whole lot of farm placements like a dairy farm, a merino stud, a donkey stud. Did lots of few different things, and I sort of went, okay, yep, this is definitely something I want to be a part of. But the other thing that I found was that I was somehow good at maths. So I did really well in my statistics subjects, trying to make sense of data and numbers and what we could do to make better decisions using data. So similar to like what Sal said, you know, what does the data tell us and how can we better improve our production systems based off this data? So it was pretty natural for me to go to the field of quantitative genetics and animal breeding. So that's what I ended up doing my PhD on. So in the end, thanks to my parents, I did end up becoming a doctor, just not the type of doctor that they actually wanted me to be. So education was my way into the agricultural field, but something that I have to really acknowledge is that one of the important parts of it was also about building relationships with the people that I was working with over time. So people within the industry, I was really lucky to be working with a whole lot of, especially red meat processors, because the theme being around food and appreciating my food, worked with a whole lot of supply chains, red meat processors, other researchers, breed societies. And it's through these relationships that was where I learned the most from as well. So building relationships with people and industry on the ground so that we can better apply all of the research and theoretical stuff that I was working on. So I think relationships, teams, networks, it's been an important theme that each speaker today has really spoken about. So I wanted to give you a little glimpse into what animal breeding and genetics is about. So I'm sure you're probably just as fidgety as I am. We've been sitting down for a while. So here's an opportunity for you to stand up if you can, give your arms a little bit of a shake. What I'd like you to do is hold your arms out, put your hands together, linking your fingers, and put one thumb on top of the other. Don't think too much about which thumb over the other, just that. Okay. So which thumb did you put on top, your right or your left? Okay. So what we know is that most people place their left thumb on top of their right thumb. So this happens to be the dominant trait that we normally see, or the most common thing that we see people do. Now for fun, try clasp your hands so that the opposite thumb is on top. Feels a bit strange and unnatural, right? Yeah. But what we do know is that which thumb we put on top of the other is under genetic control. So these are my kids here, you can see on the screen. I got them to do it this morning and they are left dominant as well. We know that's the inheritance of the thumb clasping exercise. So here's another exercise. Another example, who can roll the sides of their tongues upwards? No? So if you, okay, so that's a genetically controlled trait as well. So if you can't do it, chances are you actually have a parent who can't do it as well. So these are examples. You can actually thank your parents as to which thumb you put on top of your clasp hand or whether or not you can roll your tongue. So your most dominant hand or the tongue is because of the whether or not you can do that is because of the genes that you inherited from your parents. So as a geneticist, these sort of relationships are the sort of things that that we understand or try to understand using data on things like traits like coat colours, how quickly livestock grow, how tasty carcasses are, how much methane emissions they emit. What we do is we collect a whole lot of data on traits, crunch these numbers to understand how these are passed on from generation to generation. And then we create things, breeding tools like estimated breeding values to help producers decide which animals they might want to breed from so that they can achieve the goals that they want to achieve, like reducing emissions, growing faster, tasting better, that sort of thing. So that's sort of genetics in practice, understanding how genes are passed on from generation to generation. So go home and have a ask the rest of your family and others around to see if they can do these funny little things as well. So just a little bit about what I did as a research scientist. So I worked at the Animal and Genetics Breeding Unit as a scientist. So what I did was work with a team that analysed lots of data, wrote software to go into our national genetic evaluation systems. It was a pretty cool job that involved a lot of events like going overseas, international conferences to share research findings with other scientists around the world. And I was also very hands-on with the data collection and very privileged to play around with different technologies. Sally talked about all these different technologies that are coming in place in practice in industry, one being objective carcass measurement technologies to assess the eating quality of carcasses. So I did spend a lot of time in front of a computer, crunching numbers, writing software, but what I found was that I couldn't sit down in front of a computer for long enough, and I liked talking to people and really loved building the relationships with people within supply chains. So from this role, I migrated to my current role with Meat and Livestock Australia. So Meat and Livestock Australia, it's a producer-owned company that invests levies or money, like taxes, to put this investment into the marketing and research of tools to help make sure the red meat industry is sustainable, competitive and profitable. So we work with lots of different producers, feedlots, red meat processors, businesses like Elders, and collaborative research groups to try to get really good tools out there so that we can achieve a sustainable industry. So what I specifically do now is, instead of developing the tools, genetic tools and the systems for producers, I help producers use these tools through certain programs of works like workshops, Bred Well Fed Well workshops, talk to breeder groups to try to better understand how can we better help the industry use these tools that we invest in. So I'm really lucky in my everyday job. I do have to do a bit of computer work as well, a lot of project management, but I do get to go out on farm, talking to producers, seeing cattle, producer groups, and you'd be happy to know I still love my food. This picture down here was at a recent Northern Beef Producers Expo where I won a sausage eating competition, 11.5 sausages in 10 minutes. Thank you. I love my red meat. So I know I'm definitely in the right industry for me. So just to finish off, just a couple of final thoughts about what I've learned in my journey from plate to paddock. It's been mentioned today, there are so many different skills that are needed in agriculture. You don't necessarily have to grow up on the land to be involved. There is somewhere that you can fit in and help out. So whether you're a total bookworm or you're good with your hands, if you're an extrovert or introverted, there's always some way that you can get involved. Find an obsession and a mentor. So it's really easy or easier to succeed if you find something that you're really interested in. So having people there to support you and someone you can look up to help you understand and grow yourself and contribute better, that is a really important thing. And I've been really lucky to have been surrounded by people who really want to make it work for the entire industry and for me. What else? Take risks. Don't be afraid to fail. So I'll be honest, I dropped out of uni twice. I was a postie for a couple of years. I was working at a preschool, always came back to a career in ag though. And, you know, you have to try a few different things, but a lot of the skills are transferable, and sometimes you just need to work really hard at something a little bit longer, and you will really learn from the things that don't work out, if anything. And lastly, feeding the world is meaningful, challenging, and it's really exciting. It really doesn't get much better than this, really, feeding the world. So get involved in an industry that really matters. There's lots of different avenues, as you've heard today. So yeah, feel free to get in touch. We MLA, I haven't actually talked about MLA much, but you can hop on our website. We have socials. If you wanted to learn more about the company, feel free to hop on. Otherwise, there's my email address, and feel free to get in touch.
Thanks, Sarita. Certainly, you certainly know how to enjoy a sausage or two. And actually, we do have one question already, and John from Dairy Australia, who spoke earlier, wants to know, are you able to tell us what's different about the carcass quality or the traits of a steer that's been bred for taste compared to one that's been doing something like dairy?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting and emerging field, really. So if you think about dairy breed cattle and beef cattle, beef breed cattle, beef breeds have been bred for their carcasses, ultimately, like reproductive performance as well as their carcasses. So what we've selected for is how much meat they have on them and how good they taste. But if you look at dairy cattle, they are actually quite lean. They have been selected for milk production. So properties for milk production, the quality of their milk and whatnot. What we actually don't know so well is the relationship between the two. So we know there are some relationships and it may be antagonistic, but we haven't actually started exploring how we can breed for both breeds. So we might have like a dual purpose style breed of cattle. We definitely know, like, this is something that we are looking into. And yeah, MLA are starting to work with Dairy Australia to address the things like, you know, having surplus bobby calves. What can we do with these calves? Can we end up growing them out so that they can then become a beef steers that will have good eating quality? But basically the main difference being we've just had, you know, hundreds of years of selecting for different traits and ignored some traits over others. But it also means that we can actually combine the two, a wide variety of different traits at the same time. So.
Sorry, I think I was on mute. Really interesting field of agriculture, and you know, there's so much again in there to learn, and it's so exciting. We're going to keep moving on. Thank you, Sarita. If anyone hasn't dropped their school name into the web chat, do that now. We're going to run a few minutes over, but if you do have to pop off before the it's strictly 1 o'clock, you'll be able to see this on the recording that you'll get sent after today. and we've just had too much interesting content to get through today. The last speakers for today is really us from RuralBiz. So we've got Lachlan McCabe online, who's actually one of our RBT students. He's done 2 qualifications with us and now has come on to mentor our current students as what we call our guardian angel. Are you around still, Lockie?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, how you going? I'm not 100% sure if you've got any photos or slides or anything like that you want to share.
I don't have anything I've made up, but I do have a presentation that I have used in the past that I'm happy to share.
It's entirely up to you if you want to share anything or not. I'm just happy if you don't want to share, I'm just happy for you to tell us a little bit about, like, what was it? Oh, there you go. Got a whole presentation.
Yeah, so I grew up on a small family farm and then decided actually to go away from agriculture for 10 years and worked in a completely different field in aviation as an aircraft mechanic. And then had a calling to come back to agriculture and wasn't sure how to get back involved. So I started working for different farmers in the local area and then wanting to progress career further than just feeding other people's sheep all the time. So saw the opportunity to start doing some study with RuralBiz and came on board as a student while doing work for other farmers. And through the information of how do businesses operate and management skills that I learnt through RuralBiz, I now work for a hay export company. We export between 3 different sites, 150 to 200,000 tonne of oaten hay to mainly Japan. Some goes to Korea and some to Vietnam, and hopefully soon back into China. So this picture that is taken in the paddock. My role is to organise for all of the hay to be purchased and relationship with growers. So here's a bale that's just about to be core sampled. So we spear the core sample of the bale with a spear attached to the back of the ute, and then from there we can get a sample where we'll grade the hay. This is some of what my role entails, working through Balfour Australia, building relationships with growers, securing hectares of contracts to fulfil the tonnage requirements we need, process improvement, and there's a lot of protocols around exporting any agricultural product overseas because you have the possibility of spreading diseases. So it's fairly strict around there, and we're always researching to find better markets and to improve our product. We have people fly over from Japan that come out and meet our farmers on farm, where we can build those relationships from both ends of the sales side. And we have information days where we try and inform the grower how best to grow the hay that will be useful for the farmer at the other end. There's a lot of quality control going along the way. This is me inspecting some hay in the paddock. This is the spear that we use for collecting the hay samples and some of the tools that the farmers utilise to ensure a quality product the whole way along the line, crunching previous year's stubble. We work alongside the Department of Ag and a few other organisations to ensure that we're meeting the standards for any toxicities that we could be exposing other farms to, be it annual ryegrass toxicity or finding out the feed value test. Also involved in trial lots. Some of our farmers do other farming as well. So that's all I've got for my presentation, but
that's okay. I just wanted to ask you, Lockie, how did you find it sort of working in that kind of an industry whilst you were whilst you were trying to study as well? Like, how did you balance that? Was that a bit tricky, or?
I'm not a particularly good balancer. Well, likes to tell me I just continually fill the plate until it's overflowing and maintain that as a lifestyle. I think that agriculture is an industry that will support and you can benefit from thriving hard. Some industries, doesn't really matter if you're an outstanding worker or a slow worker, you'll sort of be treated the same. But agriculture, if you have a good work ethic or thrive on taking on more responsibility, then there's limitless potential about how far you can go and take that. And I think that taking along with you any information that you can learn through courses like what RuralBiz offer, then it is really a outward sign to anyone else that you're associated with of your proactiveness to try and better yourself and improve your contributions to whoever you're working for or yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Lockie. I'm just, by now we've heard about some amazing careers in ag, and, you know, you might have seen a job or a sector of the industry that you like the look of. I've just put a bit of a poll up there. So if you're still hanging around, just pop in there, like, what sort of further educational training do you think you want at this point? There's so many options: on the job training, vocational training with an organisation like TAFE or RuralBiz, traineeships, apprenticeships, bachelor degrees, masters. You could do a gap year. So just throw in there. I'll just let that sit there for a minute. And the great news is that there's so many different pathway options, and there's no one right or wrong pathway. So this is this little graphic is just an explanation of the Australian Qualifications Framework, which is basically the national system that holds that regulates all of our education and training in Australia. So you can see there's a few overlaps there. So the vet in schools might be a certificate or one or two that you do with your primary industries classes at school, and then 3, 4, level 5's your diploma, 6 is advanced diploma, and then you go on into your university bachelor degree, honours, master's, doctoral degree. So you can see there that there's some overlaps, and this top section here is where RuralBiz sits with the training that we deliver. So again, lots of options, and this doesn't even take into account non-accredited training and professional development that you might get on the job. So lots of pathway options. What RuralBiz offer is agricultural courses, mainly in this space here. So we really focus on the subject areas of agriculture, agribusiness management, production horticulture, applied agronomy, and we do some community coordination and facilitation specifically for land care facilitators around Australia. So our training that we offer is very hands-on, which is what is a characteristic of training in the vocational system. It's very hands-on, very, very practical, and helps build up your competency and skills in different areas. So when you are thinking about what study decisions you want to make, one of the things you need to consider is, where do you want to study? Would you like to have an on-campus experience? If so, the best choice for you might be looking at a face-to-face college, a university degree where you get to have that on-campus experience and you're learning face-to-face from the lecturers there. Or you might decide that where you really want to be is on your farm, looking after your farm, and then there's a range of online options. So in the way that RuralBiz does it is that to enroll with us, you have to have access to a farm that you can base all of your assessment work on. So you will spend time on your farm completing practical tasks. Things like soil sampling will be done on your farm. You send that off to get a professional analysis done, which we pay for, and the results come back to you, and your assessment work then is to interpret the soil analysis for your own farm. So the way that we do it is we try to keep it relevant to your farm, practical, embedded in your enterprise, so that you're learning about your farm as you go through and do your assessment tasks. And you do that all the way through, whether it's farm business planning, soil testing, farm mapping, and looking at agricultural technologies. There's a whole really broad range of elective options. So just think about what is going to be the right fit for you, what your goals are with the learning, and then you can start to align what study pathway is going to be the best fit for you. There's so many different places you can go to find course and fee information around training options. One of the great ones is myskills.gov.au and yourcareer.gov.au. That Your Career one has got a whole section on agricultural careers, education pathways, and the different levels and options that are available. So in terms of course fees, they vary from institution to institution, and also it varies from state to state because the state government has some control over the setting of course fees for vocational education. Like in New South Wales at the moment, New South Wales is currently offering fee-free training for a lot of courses for this year. So if you live in New South Wales, interested in agriculture, have left school, are an Australian citizen, you can enrol in, say, a diploma of agriculture, and the New South Wales government will pay the course fee. Other states, different arrangements are in place. So there's a little list there of the Skills Gateway websites for most states. Most states have this little portal where you can go and you search up the careers or the courses that you're looking for, and it will give you some advice around what courses are available, what funding might be available to help you get there, and which providers are able to offer those courses in those areas. So yeah, check those out for sure. There's also, not listed on there, sorry, is the university ones, which are UAC, VTAC, QTAC. The Good University Guides is a really good one. I've touched a little bit on this, funding and payment options. Some people say to me, oh, I can't afford to study. And there's actually usually lots of different options available. I've mentioned some state subsidies, which are available for most vocational education courses. So RuralBiz at the moment has access to some levels of subsidies in Queensland, New South Wales, Tasmania, South Australia, and we're about to roll out a park qualifications program in Victoria. There's also some Commonwealth assistance. So at the vocational level, vet student loans are available for approved courses and with approved providers. So that's usually diploma and advanced diploma courses, and that doesn't matter what state you live in, you should be able to access those. Once you get to higher education, there is HEX and HEX Help, I think it's called now, for higher education courses. But keep an eye out for scholarships, bursaries, different options like that, because they're actually everywhere and you should apply for as many as you're eligible for. There's also payment plan options that can be customised. Scholarships. So RuralBiz has a scholarship we offer every year. This year we'll be offering 2 Diploma of Agriculture scholarships to students that live in regional or rural areas of Australia. They'll basically, the main requirement is that you're from that rural area and you meet the course entry requirements. We will be supporting one student this year, I think, with an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander targeted scholarship, as we'd like to really build those connections in agriculture and show some pathways for students that might be interested. Other places to go and look for scholarships, check out the Career Harvest website, Royal Agricultural Society website. They often have a summary there of the scholarships that are available around Australia. And do, like, our RuralBiz scholarships will be opening about October for study in 2024. So now is a great time to start looking for scholarship options, because a lot of other organisations do the same thing. Okay, gap year options. We've touched on these a few times and there are so many options available. So build your own or join a program like AgCareers Start. A gap year gives you the benefit of being able to do an interesting and challenging job, earn an income, and perhaps, if you want to, build it on with some study or professional development of some sort. Most universities in Australia will accept advanced standing for students who have completed, say, a diploma or advanced diploma qualification before you apply for university. And that's because of that overlap that we saw earlier in the AQF system, that you can kind of, if you're not quite sure what you want to do, you could kick off with a diploma and then get credit for that when you go to university if you want to build on your career and your education further. A few more links there for scholarships, traineeships, graduate programs. So most of the corporate speakers we've had today have some early career options in their offerings. So certainly Elders, Costa have some options there. AACO have a graduate program they offer every year. And there's some cropping ones down the bottom there as well. Most states also have what we call a skills broker who works in education and training pathway options, and they will help you find the courses, the scholarships, the traineeship programs that might help you get started on your career in ag. The other thing that's been mentioned a few times and I think is really, really important and valuable at every stage in your career is the networking thing. So just get involved in something. Follow your favorite companies on their socials, start your LinkedIn profile and start following people. Listen to podcasts, get onto Humans of Agriculture, and there's lots of other great ones as well. Follow people's, sign up for newsletters, join your show society and join the cattle showing team and things like that, and get involved in your community, because those relationship buildings is the other piece of the puzzle that we've heard right through today's presentation in building that successful career in agriculture. Now, just a little note here at the end for me is that RuralBiz is actually our 2024 calendar competition is open at the moment. So if you think you're a bit nifty with a camera and you've got some great shots to share, you can enter this calendar competition for next year and maybe even win some cash prizes there. So this photo is from one of our students, not too far from Dubbo, Harry Tomlinson, one of our recent graduates. But that competition is open until the 11th of October. So we would love to see some more entries come in through for that. If you're keen, jump on, no age limit there. And that's it. What a show we've had today. Thank you so much to all of our speakers. I don't know about the rest of you, but loved hearing from all of the speakers we've had today. I've loved hearing about the journeys that you've been on, your personal stories, how many sausages you can eat, and how much you like playing in the dirt. Thank you, guys. If anyone has any questions, I'll be around for a few minutes. You can feel free to drop them into the Q&A section. Otherwise, the recording will be coming out in the next day or two. There is a short survey when you leave the Zoom room today, so please jump in there, answer the questions, give us your feedback and tell us what we could do better next time. Oh, sorry, I forgot. We've got to draw the lucky prize for our school. So there's a few here in the, okay. Australian Christian College in Singleton will be in touch with your details, with the contact details you've registered with, and we will organise that donation to your ag program. Thanks everyone, have a great day.